You know, the next thing you should add to your 10th Cavalry Brigade really is some artillery. And you might consider anti-tank, but I think that might be better off going for the light howitzer at this point when you're building your force. Because again, you have an anti-tank gun on your tank, your Vickers, and you actually have a little bit of armor possibility if you use the TKS with the 20mm cannon. So you've already got some anti-tank out there. This might be your next best approach to add to your unit. There's a problem. Warlord Games does not make a 75mm howitzer for the 10th Cavalry Brigade. This is what you get from Warlord Games. The French, sorry, it's the French 75, but it's 75mm in Polish service that they used in their cavalry and infantry divisions. That's the completely wrong model set for a mechanized unit. So I had to do some searching, and your best bet, in my opinion, actually is one of two things. This is probably your best bet. This is the French 75mm howitzer. Unfortunately, it comes with French crew, so you won't be able to use those. But you get the right road tires, which were used on mechanized artillery. They needed to be able to handle the speeds and be able to handle the wear that would come when you're running on vehicles, which can move faster, honestly, than horses. Okay, so there's a problem. You obviously don't have crew. Now it is Warlord's model, so it's kind of scaled similar to the infantry. It's not perfect 1/56 scale. Perry Miniatures does actually have a French 75 that is scaled properly. But again, you're paying a little more, and you have a crew you can't use. Personally, I just went with the Warlord, took the French crew off, and then went with Gorgon Studios. These are the models for the the support weapon, and this is from the officer NCO squads. Now, just like with the rest of the brigade, NCOs could wear their leather jacket. Now, these were from Gorgon Studios. They also had the short leather, short jacket, so I had to actually sculpt some green stuff to extend their greatcoats. Simple change, but it looks effective, and now I've got a crew to go with my 75mm howitzer. And the reason I like doing this is because you have the ability with a HE weapon to go indirect or direct fire. You can damage almost all early war tanks, 8+ or better, or less, I mean. Even on 9+, you have a 50-50 chance of putting 1 to 2 pins on it from a strike, and you do a lot of damage to infantry. So this is a little more rounded, especially if you have an anti-tank gun already on your Vickers. Now, if I go with a combat patrol, which is 450, I will actually have this, and I'll use the TKS with the 20mm cannon, and the Vickers with the twin machine guns. The reason is, in a combat patrol format that I play in, nothing of a 9+ armor is allowed. So it has to be 8+ is the highest. So even this will damage the strongest tank you can bring in a combat patrol, and so will the auto tank. So autocannon. So I don't really need the anti-tank gun. I've got plenty of things that can put pins on if I need to, or even just take out the enemy vehicles. So that's why I like to favor this particular weapon. It seems to be a little more multi-purpose. Okay. Now, I thought Cromwell Historicals also had a 75mm gun for the for the 10th Cavalry Brigade, but I don't see it on their website right now. And I know they had a 100mm. It's not out there right now, but I know they have it. So you could actually get if they don't produce 75, you can get the Warlord 75mm from the French, get the Skoda 100mm from Cromwell Historical, and use the crew from that on this gun. So that now you'd have both guns that are available, a light and a medium howitzer, to add to your force. Now, which actually, to me, I think is a good way to go, because when you're looking at adding artillery support, when you go with the light howitzer, you're only adding 50 points. It's 60 if it's veteran, but now you can't have an observer or spotter, right? So it's only 50 points, which is great though, because again, you're going to be adding 50 points to everything we've talked about before. Or if you go with the medium artillery, you're actually adding 75. Now that means you're going to have, if you again add what we talked about before, anywhere from a 530 or 555 point list, regardless, whichever artillery piece you use, to up to 780 or 805. Again, just using the regular artillery option. So pretty good. Now I keep talking about using regular instead of veteran for all these supports, and the reason is the infantry, a lot of them did have some experience already. Their officers or NCOs, some of them actually fought in about 10, 15 years earlier, in 1920, 21. So that's what? It's 18 years before. And those individuals, could be veteran. Now, the artillery and vehicles, though, they didn't have that kind of experience. So starting them out as regulars is probably the fairest representation. It's up to you, though, so that's why I offer. You're talking at least now 805 points. That's not going veteran. So it's still, you're getting pretty good. You're starting to round out your force. We don't have any support infantry weapons yet. But one thing we probably want at this point is a tow for our gun. So let's look at what we can do there. All right, now historically what was used to tow the medium and light howitzers in the 10th Cavalry Brigade was the C4p Artillery Tractor. Now, currently, that's not available. I had to actually print these. The STL that was available wasn't the exact one. I actually had to shorten it a bit because it was too long. There were 3 different lengths of the bed depending on the way they were used. This is the medium. I do know Warlord Historicals is going to be coming out with a C4p that would be used to tow this gun, so that's a possibility. Aside from that, you don't have much in the way of tows that you can use. At least as far as historically accurate tows. You can use the truck, which is legit, but it's not the right thing. You can also use a horse-drawn limber, but again, the 10th Cavalry Brigade did not use horses. So you could, if you want, go back and use a truck that we talked about back in the infantry squad or platoon, but this is the appropriate model to use. Again, like I said, modeling the 10th Cavalry Brigade isn't as easy as we would hope it would be sometimes. So if you wanted to, you can go with this, the 44-point model for a C4p. Again, regular. That's not that bad. That ups your total unit cost. Now you're up to 850 if you had the veteran first lieutenant and unit, or you're basically at 599 if you go with the regular infantry. So with a second lieutenant. So widespread there of point values. So you're getting closer to 1,000 points if you start using the veterans. So you have already a pretty substantial force. You don't need to bring a transport because being a medium howitzer or light howitzer, you can pull this on with the crew. Same with the medium. You can do the same thing. You can pull that on. No big deal there. But of course, when they you may want to have the mobility of being able to run the half track 18 inches to get that howitzer put up to the location you want. That's another possibility. So again, hopefully this was an enlightening video and help you on your quest to build the 10th Cavalry Brigade. Alright, see you guys in the next video. Share, like, subscribe if you haven't already, and enjoy your day modeling.